Welcome back, everyone. Another mail day. Another video. There's something like 870 of you right now subscribed, so welcome if you're new. So all I do here is open boxes and talk. We're very quickly going to reach the 1,000 subscriber mark, so that'll be fun. That giveaway is an Arcane Rising first edition, and it'll be streamed live and it'll be uploaded onto YouTube at some point, usually the same day that it gets recorded. Now, this is the first one of these I received, first one of these I've bought. Bonus points if you guess what it is before I unwrap it. And that looks like the label, that might have something private on it. Tell you what, this is an expensive bunch of cardboard. Dirty bit of cardboard. A case of Arcane Rising first edition. My first sealed case. Looks to be in good condition. I don't want to flip this side over. I think it's got some... no, nothing confidential. When I first saw this box, it looked like the case might have been opened, but no, it hasn't. It's just the way they've put the shipping label on it. Very freaking cool. Don't know how soon I'll open this. I might do a whole case unboxing. That'd be a wicked video. That'll be sometime further out in the future, so. But it's coming, it's coming. This will get opened. It's not an investment per se. It's got cards in it. I want to know what cards are in it. Now, this next bit might anger some people, but that's fine. I bought some of these. I have zero intention in collecting Magic the Gathering. This is more curiosity. I was at an EB game store. I picked up some packs, probably overpaid. I want to see what they look like. I want to see what they feel like. The comparison, Flesh and Blood, obviously. Magic is the grandfather, I guess, of a lot of the card games we know and play. So I want to open them, have a look. I have no idea about values. I don't know much about the rarities either. I won't even need to be educated on those because I really don't intend to do much with this other than, look, for once in my life, actually experience opening some Magic cards. So this is that moment. I have some thoughts about, there's a lot of people talking about grading and stuff. I might get into it a bit later in the video. I will definitely open some Flesh and Blood today because, you know, I can't end a video with Magic cards. So I think that's the rarity symbol. I really don't know. So I'm going to have to figure it out as I go. And this was a Kaldheim booster pack. All right, so that's a different symbol. So it's, I think there's common, uncommon. I'm assuming this is a rare. Okay, and it's got a holographic symbol at the bottom. Or maybe it's rarer than a rare, who knows. Okay, I see there's a letter now. That says R, that says U. Okay, common, uncommon, rare, I understand. So this looks like a land. I am totally lost. That's I appreciate them having that on the back of the pack. That helps a lot. All right, cool. I assume we had no hits in that. I won't really check values either. Maybe like out of curiosity for myself, but yeah. So let's talk about some grading stuff. I don't want to I don't want to. Okay, the reason I'm going to talk about grading is I'm very new to the scene and grading in general. Okay, do not take this as anything other than opinion. I'm definitely no expert. I'm not an expert at anything. I hope I never come across as pretending to be one either. But there's quite prominent content creators both in like the Australian region and the US. It's hard for me to do these two things at once. I just realized because I really don't know. I'm very unfamiliar with these type of cards. Look, what I want to say about grading, the stuff you watch when you watch people sort of open their graded slabs and talk about what they got and the grades they got and their opinion about the grades they got. Like, obviously, a lot of the people posting this type of content have a lot of experience, hundreds or thousands of submissions over many years. There's obviously some, differences with how grading works today versus this time last year versus, it's changed. The scene's changed. The landscape has changed. What I'm trying to say, there's our first foil, a common. I'm going to sort these later. I guess what I'm trying to understand when I watch some of that content is, like, what do you want when you get a card graded? Because I think the primary thing is like, okay, I've authenticated the card I bought is not fake, as an example, right? I think that's like one primary thing you achieve when you get something graded is you get a company that handles way more cards than you yourself personally have probably ever handled, saying that, yes, this is indeed a legit Flesh and Blood card, or hey, this is indeed a legit Magic card, Pokemon card, sports card, whatever the fact may be. I think that's the primary, that's number one, what you get when you send something in to get graded. It's getting authenticated. The second is obviously the rarity, the quality, the condition. Now, again, uneducated on the topic, it's just what like my business experience or my... Hello. That's a cool looking rare. I would have assumed what people want is they don't want the high scores to be common. So I think what people want is that a 10, like, okay, I think what people want is they want their card to get a 10, but in the same vein, they don't want anyone else's card to get a 10 because they want to be holding on to something rarer, better, more valuable than other people's, right? So if I pull a Heart of Findle and there's, a few hundred of them in the world, I obviously would really like mine to be a 10 and I would really like no one else's to be a 10. And I think I get some of the gist of that when I watch some of this content. So it seems like with Beckett anyway, which is the primary one we're talking about here, Beckett is the preferred grading company for Flesh and Blood by the looks of it, because they do subgrades. I think that's where that comes from. I get the gist that people are sort of inspecting their own cards, sending them off with like a assumption of what they would like to see. Not an assumption, again, is based on a lot of these content creators have a lot of experience, grading or submitting to grades. But you get this whole thing where they get a lower score than they were anticipating, and that they will infer you know, that Beckett got it wrong. I think this is a pretty valuable booster pack, Strixhaven collector booster. So I've left it till last. So what I'm saying is, you want these people want to get a grade. They want to get a specifically high grade because they've submitted cards that they deem to be in very good condition, not worn, etc. But then when they get a lower score, they're pretty upset. The way my thought process was with this thing, and I'll try and say it as clearly as possible. Man, these are like bowed. Heard like about the foiling with Magic the Gathering, but geez. They're like immediately when you grab them, like I've noticed this happens with some Flesh and Blood cards, but they're not out of the pack that they're bowed. It's usually once you've had them out of the pack for a while. They get some heat and moisture exposure. So what I'm saying is, do you want, when you grade a card, you would want the 10 to be very hard to reach, right? So when you're getting a card back that is not the grade you want, you're either, like to me, if you're upset, this is in like an Asian language, that's sick. Japanese, I'm assuming. So cool. I have no idea what these cards are, guys. I'm going to put them away and I'm going to open some Flesh and Blood. I just wanted to get a feel for this. Look, I'm losing my track of thought. Not really. I'm just trying to get through this first. But let me explain what I'm trying to say. You send cards into grade. You want your cards graded fairly. I understand. You have some historical understanding of how cards should be graded. I understand. But then you get a 9 instead of a 9.5 that you were hoping for. Now, are you assuming that you're being mistreated personally? So that's like the you assuming you're getting singled out. So if you think you're getting singled out and your cards are not getting graded accurately because you are the person you are, or you're the account holder and they're aware of who you are and maybe they don't want to give you good grades, that's like a whole nother discussion. That's conspiracy stuff. I'm going to stay away from it. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm saying if you're upset because you got grades lower and you think you're being singled out, that's an issue in and of itself. But if you're saying or assuming or or like you're taking this as Beckett is fucking up and they're missing grades or they're doing the wrong thing, or it seems like the summary of it is Beckett is underscoring cards. That's the summary I would give you from what I've watched. Like, I know it's not a good thing for you personally, the holder of that card, but I don't know if that's such a big problem. Why do I say that? Back to Flesh and Blood, Tales of Aria. I've missed opening this, so here we are. I wanted to open a box while I talk to you guys. What I'm trying to say is, let the scores be lower. The prices have gone up, which is a good thing if you look at it from a collector's perspective. What you don't want is, I don't think what you want is like everyone being able to grade 500 cards at a time, right? I think the pricing is good. It limits like what value of card gets graded. That's, in my opinion, a good thing. Let the card grading prices be high, but also let the card grading scores be low. It's sort of the point. The lower they are, like let's say Beckett have made some internal discussion and gone like, we've given out too many 10s. Some of our staff are idiots. They were giving out 10s to friends. They're giving out 10s because they're fatigued. Like, we're going to make it so that on average, the score of cards is, on average 0.5 lower. And you, as someone experienced in the industry, is going, hey, like I'm used to getting what I think is a 9.5 is coming back as a 9. And again, I have seen the examples. I've seen people show like two cards side by side. One, the corners are clearly better than the other, but doesn't have a better score. Like, I've seen that. I'm not disputing that happens. What I'm saying is, if the net result of the Beckett, the PSA, all the grading services, if the net result is that the scores are coming back lower, that in turn seems to me the whole point. You want the scores to be low, unless the card is pristine, which is the goal. Most people are aiming for the 9.5s and the 10s. That's where the real premiums are. I don't know. Like I'm again, understand where there's issues with inconsistency. Obviously, there's issues with like people not getting their cards back for, they submitted a year ago or whatever for a Majestic hit. All I'm saying is if the cards, by net result for everyone in the world that sends to Beckett, are they getting back lower scores? If that's the new normal, first of all, if you're experienced, enjoy the fruits of your labor from last year and years gone, because your 10s are now even rarer because they're not giving out as many. Great. And second, if it's now harder to hit a 10, or even impossible with Flesh and Blood to hit a 10, because by the looks of it, with the corner issues, etc., I haven't seen a lot of like Tales of Aria cards. I've seen a 10 library be sold at the Calling recently. What I'm saying is if the net result is the scores are lower, great. I mean, it sucks for you, but on average, not on average, like if the scores are lower across the board, Majestic. If the scores are lower across the board, I don't see that. Okay, I guess what we're trying to say is if the scores are going to be lower across the board consistently, which may be the whole argument here, where I might be wrong. But if the scores are lower, let it be. If it's harder to hit a 10, great. And when you hit a 10, the premium will be higher because the population of that particular card as a 10 will be lower. Do you get where I'm coming from? I know I'm like, it took a while to get to my point, but my point is, I don't know if that's such a bad thing. And also, I don't know if it's such a bad thing knowing that Beckett clearly had issues with volume. Same as PSA, they were having issues with volume of card coming in, and they cut off submissions and they raised their pricing. Like, tell you what happens when that happens is the staff are overworked or just, under too much pressure. So they're just smashing cards through, which is not what you want. Second foil Majestic. Again, a service like that, you do want the due diligence to be taken. You do want care. You don't want anyone rushing with your card. Like if you're, taking a vintage watch to get repaired somewhere, like the last thing you want is to know from that company that's holding your piece of valuable jewelry that they're rushed and they got too many people and all these people like waiting and rushing and want their watches back by Christmas. Like if that was me, if I was taking in like something expensive to get serviced, my car even, and that's the impression I got, that particular company was too busy and rushed and seemed under stress, I would not want to leave my car there at that point. I'd be like, look, I'll bring it back when they're quieter and can put the work in properly or whatever. It's not a well thought out point, maybe, if you're watching this, but again, I'm just rambling about it. I've seen quite a bit of content about grading and submissions and new grading companies. New grading companies, I get the logic. You want to stick with the old names, the experienced names, the ones that historically have held a premium. I think where I disagree with some people that say like the new grading companies are not going to be worth using. First of all, some of the new inverted commas companies are only new in the card world or only new in the collectible cards that are not sports cards. Like there's sports card companies that have been around for yonks, and there's coin grading and coin authentication service companies that have been around for longer than Beckett and PSA that are now getting into cards. So I can't think of an exact example of a company that's older than Beckett and PSA. I'm just saying some of the new grading companies are coming in from the coin world. Okay, that's what I'm saying. Don't fact check me. I know one in New Zealand that's getting in. They're very well known for coins, and they're going to start doing cards. It's great. It's good. They do have pedigree, is what I'm trying to say. Not in the card world, but a company that's got 20 plus years of experience authenticating and grading, and you can't see any crappy behavior in the news cycle in the past, in the whatever 50 years or 20 years or whatever they've been in business for, it's a good sign. Why would they ruin their reputation over a card if they haven't done it over coins for longer than you've been alive? My point is, let the new players come. It'll only either reinforce Beckett and PSA's standing in the industry, or it'll reduce pricing and increase competition, which is what you want in everything, really. It keeps people honest. And the last point I'll make is, I think the next company, the next grading company, or the grading company, and it looks like it might be PSA, that brings in any sort of AI grading where the human element's taken out of. Like, first of all, if a computer is grading the card via, I'm assuming, cameras, you put the card like in a slot, and the computer's going to go and scan it and figure out what it thinks. And then hopefully they'll have humans to error check that stuff, because AI and computers can make mistakes very easily. A speck of dust or something might result in a really bad score. So hopefully humans are checking it, but if the bulk of the work is done by a computer, that's pretty cool. And I think that will change. Whichever company hits that on the head first will be doing pretty well. They're my thoughts about grading. I'm not discounting all the issues. I'm saying maybe some of these issues are not the be all and end all, as long as they're happening across the board and evenly. Like, if everyone's getting back submissions from Beckett, which I'm assuming is what's happening from what I see, everyone's getting lower scores than they were expecting. Maybe Beckett just hasn't publicized that they've changed what they're looking at or how they're looking at it, you know? Like, you're there assuming they're doing it the way they were doing it last year or 5 years ago, and they're just not. Maybe they've upgraded their equipment. Maybe their equipment is more... one thing I always see is people doing this. Like, on camera, they're going, see, like, that corner's fine, that corner's fine. Like, I thought when people grade, like, legit grade, like a grading company, they're using the naked card and they're using microscopes or zoom of some form. Like, I didn't think they're looking at it with the naked eye. So again, you telling me, like, to your eye, that corner looks fine, for instance. Like, I'm looking here with my naked eye, and these corners look fucking perfect, right? They look perfect to me. But I assume if I zoom in, I'll see something on an edge or a corner that my naked eye won't pick up. I thought that was the point. I'm not, like, claiming here. I'm saying that's the case. You're not grading it the way they graded it. As in, you're not using the same equipment when you're comparing. And second, you're unhappy because you got a score lower than you wanted. But if everyone's getting lower scores than what they wanted, I think that's the point of getting them graded, is let them be harsh. As long as they're not only being harsh to you, that's my point. If they're being harsh to everyone, let it be. We'll just have less 10s in the market, and that should be a good thing for grading anyway. They're my points. Hopefully you enjoyed this random AF video. Sorry about the Magic the Gathering content. I really it's weird not having touched or opened them when you watch a lot of content on, like, they feel more tacky to me, more like a cheaper quality type. That feels cheaper to me. The Magic card. Not that it is, I'm just saying, like, by feel, it's got like a flatter feel to it. I know they got a proprietary inlay thing when they print. But I'm going to have a look at those cards. Again, I have no intention of collecting it, pricing it out. It's just morbid curiosity, really. I saw some packs. I'm like, I've never opened a Magic pack. And I've opened, at this point, 6 figures worth of flesh and blood. So why not spend a little bit of money and see what Magic feels and looks like. Thanks for watching. The giveaway will include one of these mats, by the way. The 1,000 subscriber giveaway, so someone random will win one. I've got a spare. Thanks for watching again for the third time. We'll talk soon.